During the 1990s, WWE was the hottest ticket on the planet. Competing with their rival for the #1 spot, we had some of the most aggressive and bizarre stories and action that sports entertainment has ever seen. It was called the Attitude Era. Those 2 hours of weekly television made a lot of wrestling fans the fans that they are today. People look back and remember the wild brawls, the shocking reveals, singing along with the catchphrases, and the totally unique energy that is impossible to recreate that flowed through the crowd each and every show. And today, we get the nastiest and coolest moments in the Attitude Era's unforgettable history. Let's get down to it. Number 10, the Road Warriors and Hawk substance abuse storyline, 1998. The Road Warriors were one of the most iconic tag teams in wrestling history. They were a hugely intimidating team with their face paint and spiked shoulder pads, and the fans just loved their no-nonsense attitude in the ring. But in 1998, the WWF briefly decided to go down a different avenue with the men. They incorporated Road Warrior Hawk's real-life struggles with substance abuse into a storyline, blurring the lines between fiction and reality to an uncomfortable degree. In the storyline, the relationship between Animal and Hawk became strained. Hawk had become erratic during their matches, and it was implied that he'd been abusing substances, leading to Animal replacing Hawk with Draws as his new tag team partner. Hawk became incredibly depressed after this and decided to climb up and fall off the Titantron, with the implication being that he developed suicidal tendencies. The storyline's insensitivity towards mental health issues and substance abuse problems means it doesn't align with the values of modern WWE, and it's one of those angles they probably want us to forget about when celebrating the Attitude Era. Number 9. The Undertaker vs. the Big Boss Man, WrestleMania 15. The Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and the Big Boss Man was highly anticipated. The previous 2 cell matches on pay-per-view had been absolutely fantastic. The first one was the thriller between The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, which saw the debut of Kane. The WWF were going to top both of those iconic contests, this time on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania. Turns out the fans shouldn't have bothered getting excited. The Big Boss Man was having a career renaissance as he was transformed into the black-clad, menacing enforcer of Vince McMahon's evil corporation. The corporation was fighting against The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness at the time, who were also a force for evil. The fact that they were both bad guys meant that this feud was dead on arrival, and the match itself was pretty damn poor. But it's what happened after the match that we need to pay attention to. After The Undertaker's victory, the arena lights went down, and The Undertaker, with the assistance of his minions, proceeded to clumsily hang the Big Boss Man from the top of the cell. Problem was, it looked fake as hell. It was obvious from the way that the Boss Man was hanging that it was a gimmicked noose, so there was no illusion that The Undertaker had really caused any harm at all. A couple of weeks later, the Boss Man was back on WWF TV just like nothing had ever happened. Number 8, Free Radicals. Unfortunately, Chris Benoit's wrestling history is intertwined with stars that really do deserve being mentioned, so fans cannot ignore him completely. With fellow Radicals Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, and the late Eddie Guerrero, there is no denying that he and they were involved in some classic moments during the second half of the Attitude Era. The group grew through ECW and joined WCW, however they felt they were not showcased well in their new home. Before long, all 4 men decided enough was enough and that it was time to head to the rival WWE. In order to keep him, Kevin Sullivan booked him for the vacant WCW Heavyweight Championship belt to go around Benoit's waist that sold out in early 2000. However, despite Benoit beating fellow challengers Sid Vicious, the Radicals left anyway. In a rare reversal of someone taking a championship from WCW to WWE, it was mentioned on WWE programming that Benoit was debuting as the reigning WCW Heavyweight Champion. But Sullivan tried to have it downplayed on Nitro, even having the commentators say that Vicious never lost the match due to a previously unrecognized rope break. At the end of the day, the Radicals made such a big impression on WWE audiences that Benoit's championship didn't really matter. And so a rare defection of the WCW champion and a taste of their own medicine just went unnoticed. Number 7, the Dudley Boys vs. the Hardy Boys vs. Edge and Christian, WrestleMania 2000. Razor Ramon vs. Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 10 brought the ladder match mainstream. However, there was only 5 ladder matches between WrestleMania 10 in 1994 and WrestleMania 2000 in, 2000. There have been literally dozens since the Triangle Ladder match between the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, and Edge and Christian at WrestleMania 2000. There's a reason for that. The fan base responded. Big time. While ladder matches before featured a few high spots, there was always a focus on selling. Not anymore. This ladder match was wall-to-wall action. As soon as one guy went down, another took his place, turning the ladder match, and gimmick matches in general, into glorified stunt shows. However, while some may complain about the state of gimmick matches today, there's no denying this match is a true ballet of carnage. It's what would happen if Michael Bay booked a pro wrestling match with a barrage of blink and you'll miss it mayhem. Love it or hate it, this match changed pro wrestling. Number 6, I think you know the guy. While WWE fans will often look to the fan favorite of Mankind being Mick Foley's most popular persona, the Boiler Room Dweller is only his most recent. Foley's earliest incarnation was Dude Love, but the character he portrayed in ring for the longest time was Cactus Jack. Foley actually brought Cactus Jack back to face Triple H in autumn of 1997 in WWE. As the Attitude Era matured, WWE's content, Cactus Jack would make a few more sporadic appearances. However, the veteran Foley seemed to hold back somewhat on the violence. That was until early 2000 when, having been fired, rehired, and then beaten up, Mankind ditched the mask and unveiled the psychotic persona once more. Though we had only seen him mere months previously, Mick Foley would cement the true return of Cactus Jack in a subtle yet brilliant promo on the following SmackDown. Triple H looked like he'd seen a ghost, and Foley acted like this was someone WWE audiences had never seen. Unlike his previous incarnation of the same character, this was the real king of the deathmatch, the real hardcore legend, the real Cactus Jack. Number 5, The Undertaker vs. Mankind, King of the Ring 1998. For better or worse, there are certain moments that pro wrestling fans will never forget. Among Attitude Era fans, the most memorable moment didn't involve Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, or Mr. McMahon, but Mick Foley and The Undertaker. That moment, of course, was when The Undertaker threw Mick Foley, portraying his character Mankind off the roof of the Hell in a Cell at King of the Ring on June 28, 1998. This was truly a before and after or where were you win moment in pro wrestling. When Mankind went off the cell, all bets were off. Jim Ross screaming, good God Almighty, they've killed him. As God is my witness, he is broken in half, and pleading for officials to stop the damn match, spoke to this scene of chaos and shock. Yes, some of fans have seen bloody death matches from Japan or ECW, but it's one thing to watch a guy get hit with glass on a copied VHS tape or in a 1,000-seat bingo hall. It's another to watch a top star get thrown from 20 feet in the air in front of 17,000 shocked fans. With its emphasis on unbelievable violence, this match would come to define pro wrestling up to the present day. Every time you see thumbtacks, huge bumps, chair shots to the head, etc., you have this match to thank or curse. Number 4, Stone Cold Steve Austin vs. Chris Jericho, Vengeance 2001. Who would be the first guy to hold the WWE and WCW World Championships at the same time? Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair, The Rock, Sting, Goldberg, Triple H? Turns out none of them really. It was a guy who had been curtain jerking against Juventud Guerrera just 4 years earlier, Chris Jericho. WWE had purchased WCW in March of 2001, ran a poorly received invasion angle through the summer and fall, and finally united the WWE and WCW titles into one undisputed championship at Vengeance. The setup was a mini tournament. Jericho vs. The Rock for the world title, and Austin vs. Kurt Angle for the WWE title, with the winners facing each other. It's almost poetic that the fate of WCW's title would be decided between 4 WWE guys in a C-level PPV, with fans already ticked because Triple H wasn't showing up. In the end, Jericho won after much chicanery, not only becoming the first undisputed champion, but beating The Rock and Austin on the same night. While WWE has had 2 world titles for most of the past 20 years, there's no denying that on this night, something we never thought would happen did, with the most unexpected outcome there was. Number 3, John Cena vs. Triple H, WrestleMania 22. John Cena defeated John Bradshaw Layfield for the WWE Championship in the sub-main event at WrestleMania 21. But the night's real main event was Batista beating Triple H for the World Championship. WWE soon realized that while Batista was a big star, Cena was the guy, someone they could build the brand around and finally replace the star power void left by The Rock in Austin's departure. Cena moved from SmackDown to the flagship show Raw and worked his way through top guys like Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle. However, adult male fans turned on his goody two-shoes act, with dueling "Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks" chants becoming common. So much so that when John Cena took on Triple H at WrestleMania, many expected WWE would abandon the Cena babyface experiment and put the belt back on Vince's safety blanket. Instead, Cena made the game tap out in front of 17,000 shocked fans. This match not only cemented Cena as WWE's top star by far, but would define WWE's antagonistic relationship with the fan base for the next 15 years. Whether it was John Cena or Roman Reigns, fans would boo the babyface all they wanted. McMahon would continue digging in his heels about not turning his babyface heel. Number 2, Mark Henry's sexual chocolate phase, 1996 to 1998. When WWE signed Mark Henry back in 1996, he was meant to be a big deal. He was a powerlifting champion and signed a massive 10-year contract. However, he didn't really connect with the fans during his debut year and wasn't all that great in the ring either. So they packaged Henry as sexual chocolate, and we got a good look at the big man's private life. Most memorably, his character engaged in a bizarre relationship with the elderly Mae Young, which included a storyline where she became pregnant and later gave birth to a hand. We were also treated to some of his other sexual escapades, including him lusting after China and accidentally having relations with a transvestite named Sammy. He was also shown attending a sex addiction therapy class where he admitted to some pretty crazy things that I can't repeat here. There's no way that corporate WWE will ever go into detail about this period in Mark Henry's career ever again. Number 1, Vince McMahon and Trish Stratus, 2001. In 2001, the character of evil Mr. McMahon was riding roughshod over the WWF. In the storyline, he decided to punish his mistress, Trish Stratus, in order to humiliate her. So, yes, in the middle of the ring, live on an episode of Raw, he made her get on her hands and knees and bark like a dog. The idea was that Trish had hit rock bottom in the affair she was having with the boss, but she would get her revenge down the line, and she certainly did at WrestleMania X7. She turned on Vince in front of 67,000 fans by slapping him in the face and siding with Shane McMahon. But taken in isolation, this segment doesn't look very good at all. As WWE has evolved, it has embraced the women on its roster as athletes in their own right rather than sex objects. Clearly in 2001, there was still a long way to go. Alright guys, that wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I hope this video had got you into those nostalgic moments as well. So keep cherishing those moments, and we'll see you in the next one.